Welcome to Global Exploration, where we bring the traveling to you. Sit back and relax as we dive into 10 of France's best kept travel spots. The world that we live in is filled with wonderful sights to see. From a natural history museum with a botanical garden to a palace built from pebbles. Now let's get exploring. Starting with number 1. The Eiffel Tower. Gustave Eiffel constructed the Eiffel Tower for the 1889 World's Fair, which commemorated the 100th anniversary of the French Revolution. The tower is the tallest man-made structure in the world, at 1,083 feet, or about the height of an 81-story building. This record was held up until the New York Chrysler Building was finished. The assembly process required 300 employees, 2.5 million rivets, and 2 years of continuous labor. The tower was initially intended to be demolished in 1909 but received opposition. It was spared because it proved to be the best platform for the transmitting antennas required for the cutting-edge science of radiotelegraphy. The tower has been painted red and bronze since 1968, one of its 6 various hues over its existence. Work is currently underway to remove the previous 19 coats and apply the yellow-brown color, giving it a new golden hue. The tower consists of 3 floors. The first floor is the glass-enclosed Pavilion Ferry, which has a small cafe and gift shop. The outside walkway contains a learning circuit that informs visitors about the tower's design. Commercial spaces on the first floor are powered by 2 sleek wind turbines located inside the tower. The second floor houses telescopes and panoramic maps that pinpoint places throughout Paris. Story windows allow you to see through glass panels to the ground and provide an overview of the lift's functions. Restrooms, a gift shop, a macaron bar, and the Lou Jules Verne restaurant are also located on the second floor. The top and last floor is 905 feet tall, has a champagne bar and Gustave's top-level office or secret apartment. This secret apartment contains lifelike models of Eiffel and his daughter, Claire greeting Thomas Edison. Number 2. Strasbourg Cathedral, Alsace. Strasbourg Cathedral, also known as Strasbourg Minster, is a Catholic church in the city of Strasbourg. Although significant portions of it remain in Romanesque design, it is regarded as one of the finest examples of Gothic architecture. Erwin von Steinbach, an architect, was credited with significant achievements until his death in 1318, and beyond through his son Johannes and grandson Gerlach, who replaced him as chief architects. The principal architects who took over after the Steinbachs did not carry out the Steinbachs' intentions for the cathedral's completion. Instead of the 2 towers that were initially planned, a single, octagonal tower with an elongated, octagonal capping was constructed on the northern side of the facade. For 227 years, Strasbourg Cathedral was the tallest building in the world until it was surpassed by St. Nikolai's Church in Hamburg. It is now the world's 6th tallest church and the highest still intact structure built during the Middle Ages. The cathedral may be seen from as far away as the Vosges Mountains and the Black Forest on the other side of the Rhine. The distinctive color is due to the reddish-brown sandstone from the Vosges Mountains. The Musée de l'Œuvre Notre Dame, located in the foundation's premises, exhibits authentic items of art from the cathedral, including sculptures and stained glass windows, as well as the surviving original medieval architectural plans. Number 3. Mont Saint-Michel, Normandy. This island is 17 acres in size and is located about a half nautical mile off France's northwestern coast, near the entrance of the Coinon River. The island had a population of 29, as of 2019. The commune's location, on an island, only a few hundred meters from land, made it accessible at low tide to many pilgrims to its abbey, as well as defensible as the incoming tide stranded, drove away, or drowned would-be attackers. During the 100 Years' War, the island remained conquered. Louis XI realized the benefits of its natural defenses and converted it into a prison, which was used on a regular basis. Every year, more than 3 million people visit it. 60 other buildings line the steep village street, now converted into museums, restaurants, hotels, and shops for today's tourists. These buildings are classified as historical monuments. The shuttles to the Mont are free, but if you prefer a 1.2-mile hike, you're able to. The causeway was created in the 19th century, and a dam was built to reclaim land along the shoreline. However, with time, the sand got blocked and deposits formed, causing environmental issues. To reverse the sand buildup and maintain access to the monastery, the causeway was demolished in 2005 and replaced with a new bridge and dam that allowed the tides to function naturally and wash away the built-up sand. The parking lots were relocated a bit farther from the shore, and shuttles were created to transport visitors and island residents back and forth. Number 4. Muséum de Toulouse, Toulouse. The Muséum de Toulouse is a natural history museum that was founded in 1796 and was opened to the public in 1865. The museum exhibits its unique collection of over 2 million artifacts, which have 32,000 square feet of exhibition space. It includes interactive places such as scientific laboratories and a botanical garden. The exhibit is divided into 5 themes. The nature of the solar system and its formation, the nature of life including biodiversity, classification, and organization, Earth history from 3.8 billion years ago, introducing time, paleontology, and the evolution of life, along with the main functions of living beings, and the impact of human activity on ecosystems and natural resources. Toulouse Museum was the first museum in the world to open a prehistoric gallery. The majority of the prehistoric items in the collection were discovered in France. They also include comparison data from different parts of Europe and other continents. The nature of life has bird studies, which has around 30,000 specimens, 20,000 alone are the eggs. There are around 8,500 bird mounts and 1,500 scientific bird skins present. Other bird items consist of 2,000 skeletons and skulls, along with 5,300 eggs. The collection focuses on Europe, particularly France. The Botanic Garden is part of the Earth and Life Science research and is attached to the museum. The garden is known for their vegetable gardens of the world and a shade house that resembles the conditions required for shade plants. Number 5. Château de Flaugards, Occitanie. The Château de Flaugards is a country house, one of many built on the outskirts of the city by wealthy merchants. The property has antique furniture as well as a collection of Flemish tapestries. The follies in the area were built by aristocratic servants of the French king. Etienne de Flaugards purchased a plot of land in 1696 and established the chateau that bears his name. It took him 45 years to restore the mansion to its current state. Flaugards became an example for the several other follies built around Montpellier from then on. There is a lot of emphasis on establishing separate areas within the garden, and making the mansion appear larger than it really is. An entryway with classic columns and molding with rose-carved patterns split the facade in half. The different levels of the house are highlighted by the bands, which were popular in the 17th century. The huge windows give the first floor a sense of importance, whereas the back wall of the structure is almost completely blank. The inside of Flaugards is the most prominent feature, with the staircase taking up over 1/3 of the space. This staircase, with its unique hanging key vaults and wrought iron banisters, serve every floor. Number 6. Unterlinden Museum, Colmar. The Unterlinden Museum is located in Colmar, France, in the Alsace region. The Isenheim altarpiece is displayed in the museum, which is housed between a Dominican religious sisters convent and a former public bath building. The museum also has a wide collection of local and global artworks and artifacts manufactured from prehistoric to contemporary time. Unterlinden is the most visited museum in Alsace, with over 200,000 visitors per year. It was founded in 1849 when the buildings, which had been abandoned, were rescued. The collection began with a Roman mosaic, discovered in Bergheim, Haute-Rhin, which is still on display today, along with plaster reproductions of antique statues loaned from the Louvre Museum. When the Isenheim altarpiece and other large paintings and or sculpted altarpieces from Colmar or Upper Rhenish churches were placed, the focus of the collection altered drastically. The following year, the museum was opened to the public. It had steady growth in the number of displayed artifacts and obtained an extra room by making better use of existing space, so the city of Colmar chose to construct extra buildings. The neo-Baroque former baths building was converted into a museum annex, linked to the main structure by a series of underground exhibition rooms. An additional building for temporary exhibitions were also constructed, while the previous cloister was completely refurbished, and its interior was modified. Number 7. Pont Saint-Benezet, Avignon. The Pont Saint-Benezet, commonly known as Pont d'Avignon, is a medieval bridge that once crossed the Avignon River. Between 1177 and 1185, a wooden bridge was built, spanning the river between Villeneuve-les-Avignon and Avignon. After 40 years, the bridge was dismantled and rebuilt with 22 stone arches. The stone bridge was approximately 2,953 feet long and only 16 feet wide, including the side parapets. The bridge was abandoned in the mid-17th century because the arches were prone to collapse whenever the river flooded, making maintenance extremely expensive. At the Avignon end of the bridge, 4 arches and the gatehouse have been preserved. Both ends of the river were well guarded. The right bank, which was controlled by the French crown, was guarded by the Tour Philippe le Bel castle that was built in the 14th century. A huge gatehouse on the Avignon side was constructed and then heavily modified in the 15th century. The walkway passed over the city wall and down a now demolished ramp leading into the city. The Chapel of St. Nicholas, located on the bridge's second pier, was built in the 12th century but has been significantly renovated. The bridge is regarded as a city landmark. The bridge's surviving arches were declared as a historic site in 1995. Number 8. Château de Chambord, Chambord. The Château de Chambord is one of the most recognized châteaux in the world due to its distinctive architecture, which combines typical French medieval forms with classical Renaissance features. Chambord is the largest château in the Loire Valley. Extensive gardens and water features, like a moat, were common in this period's châteaux. Chambord is no different. The layout is reminiscent of a traditional castle, complete with a main tower, corner towers, and a moat. It is built around a central tower with 4 massive bastion towers at each corner. There are 440 rooms, 282 fireplaces, and 84 staircases. The chateau was never designed to provide any kind of protection against enemies, hence the walls, towers, and partial moat, with his being simply just for aesthetic reasoning. The double spiral staircase that serves as the centerpiece is one of the architectural highlights. The 2 spirals scale the 3 floors without ever meeting, lit from above by a sort of lighthouse at the highest point. A 13,000-acre woodland park and game reserve with red deer surround the chateau, which is enclosed by a 19-mile-high wall. Number 9. The D-Day Beaches, Normandy. Based on the Normandy landing, there are 5 different beaches along the Normandy coast. These beaches were given codenames, referred to as Utah Beach, Omaha Beach, Gold Beach, Juno Beach, and Sword Beach. The best beach to visit among those listed is Omaha. The D-Day Omaha Beach has a museum located on the hills, right above Omaha Beach, and showcases various items and materials used during the Normandy landing. Outside the museum, you will see the Higgins boat barges, an armored turret, and a collection of unique World War II objects, such as the Goliath tank, the paratrooper motorbike, and the Enigma encoder. A slideshow and multiple display windows in Verville-sur-Mer objects, used by German and Allied forces. Another museum worth seeing is the Overlord Museum, which also focuses on the Normandy landing. Objects are displayed in and outside of the museum. The interior design is in the style of dioramas, allowing items to be presented in the modern real-world settings. With this in mind, vehicles, objects, and life-size dolls were constructed into those scenes. At events, ready-to-drive vehicles were shown in the outdoor area. Omaha Beach not only has museums, but a cemetery and memorial site as well, to honor the American troops who lost their lives. Maps and details of the Normandy landing and military actions are included in a memorial inside the cemetery. There is also 2 flagpoles in the cemetery, where people gather to observe the lowering and folding of the American flags. Number 10. Le Palais Ideal, Autrives. Facteur Cheval was a French mail carrier who spent 33 years in Autrives, building the Le Palais Ideal. The palace mainly consists of stones, pebbles, porous tufa, and fossils of every shape and size. Cheval used lime, mortar, and cement to bind the stones together. The southern facade, which is roughly 85 feet long and up to 33 feet high, is the first thing guests come across when they arrive. 3 huge stones with doll-like faces not only serve as decoration, but also as a support system for the Barbary Tower, with a line of cement swans going up to the spiral staircase. The north facade features a long path, lined with large opening to allow light into the palace's main area. This facade resembles a forest, where the walls are covered in moss and seaweed. The chandeliers are framed by swirling patterns of pebbles and shells on the ceiling. The upper walls are lined with horizontal bands, featuring animal carvings. Among the animals were 2 ostriches and an ostrich chick, a 3.9-foot-tall camel, flamingos, octopi, lions, dragons, and a polar bear. The east facade took the longest, taking 20 years to complete. It comprises the Temple of Nature, a temple-like structure in the Egyptian style, supported by thick sandstone columns, as well as 2 waterfalls. Chevau's hand-carved small phrases and poems can be found throughout the palace. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of France's best-kept travel spots. Remember, the adventure doesn't end here. Let me know in the comments below which travel spot you would visit and why. Don't forget to like and subscribe.